simulcast going on here, so never mind these folks over here. So don't y'all pay any attention to them. They don't like you. Whatever presidential candidate you like, they don't like. They don't like your presidential candidate either. So I don't know. So I've got a Biden cam, got a Biden cam and a Trump cam. You see, I got a Biden cam and a Trump cam. I don't know whether this is the Biden cam or the Trump cam. I don't know whether it's the Biden cam or the Trump cam. My producers are keeping that information from me. But anyway. Yeah, really need humbuckers. Don't play in the ES, you need some humbuckers. But we're in the groove here. Y'all live in a household where you never know what's going to go on next. Someone's going somewhere, you're the last one to know it. I feel for you. I know you're a fan. It's called disrespect, ain't it? People not filling you in on what's going to go on. Okay. Things sometimes just don't work out the way you want them to. Okay. Trying to get some of these electronic devices. I don't know if you can see that or not. If you're looking at it, it's reversed. So no, you hadn't automatically become dyslexic. You haven't had a stroke. Yeah, guitar prices for Gibsons and for Fender as well. Man, those things are all-time low price. You want to go new? Yeah, they'll hit you in the head just as hard as you want to be hit. That's one thing I can say about Gibson or Fender, either one. They'll hit you in the head just as hard as... I heard one guy here on YouTube talking about Gibsons and how Gibsons didn't have good guitars. But he had a custom shop Gibson and then just a regular gold top within this century. He didn't have anything vintage. So we know he paid at least $3 grand and maybe as much as $7,500 for the custom shop. And he made out like $7,500 for an electric guitar was too much money. But you got to look at what you're getting. You're getting a brand new instrument for one thing. The wiring is brand freaking new. It was made in America. And allegedly they've got guarantees on them. So there are good points to buying something like that. But the guy was making out like the guitar quality just wasn't worth anything. Then the guitars weren't worth anything anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, it sounds like to me that the guitar market for between 2000 and today is running flat. People can't get out of their instruments what they put into them. Oh my God. How many people have you ever heard when you buy a new automobile and you take it off of the car lot that they're not going to give you as much for it if you bring it back and try to sell it to them? It's been owned, it's used. It's the same deal here, except you can go out, you can gig with it, gig all year long with it. But you aren't going to get maybe 80% of what you got in it out of it. If you're lucky, and that's going to be to the person that's going to play it. If you're going to sell it to a dealer, he'll give you 55% of what you paid for it a year ago. Because he's got to have room to make money. Because you just don't tote. I mean, you just don't tote that stuff around for nothing. I could have got what I paid for this thing, brand new. I could have gotten a 1990s guitar and then still been able to afford to put the left-handed neck on it. Are you going to vote? Anyone going to vote? Has anyone thought about voting this year? I mean, if you're between the age of 18 and 30 years old, do not set this one out. It's about your future. Donald Trump will not be here 20 years from now. He won't be here. Trust me. Anybody that's had bone spurs and 5 deferments from Vietnam isn't going to be here 20 years from now. He won't be. There's not going to be a Trump presidency in 2056. Now, what he's shooting for is to get the presidency, to get the Department of Justice running his way. And then in 2026, he's going to take the full House and the Senate. And then they will have the majority to ensure that this man does an end run on the 25th Amendment to the Constitution. And they will send it out into these states. These radical people call themselves lovers of Christ. But what they're wanting to do is wage war upon you. They've gotten theirs. They've got theirs, their house, their car, their fortunes. And they were made, my parents made their fortune off of us. My daddy, when I was born, was making $50 a week. When I turned 16, he was making $300 a week and doing the same freaking job he was when I was born. That's called inflation. Well, why did it happen? The Eisenhower started what was called the interstate highway system so that we could move. That was strictly for military. For the military. The taxation back then, businesses paid their share of the taxes. They paid their fair share. It wasn't until the early 70s that lobbyists were born and came to Washington, D.C. and started perverting our government. And then, let's see, what was it? The Supreme Court made that ruling where allowed dark money to come in to elections. So you don't know where the money come from. It could have come to me, and I'd give it to Trump, and and here I am. I'm just a regular citizen, but I can form a non-profit just as well as the next person. Political Action Committee, and then I can funnel $500,000, $1 million, whatever I want to whoever I want to, like I want to. That's your doggone Supreme Court. If you ever vote in an election, I don't care whether you vote for Trump or for Biden, you care anything about where you're going to be 20 years from now, I'd vote for Biden. Because Trump put us in debt $10 trillion in 4 years. Now, $2 trillion of that we borrowed from the United States Treasury. And when you say borrow from the United States Treasury, you might ask yourself, you mean we can borrow money from the United States Treasury? Well, it's not exactly, they cut the government a check. No, what they do, they print 2 trillion more dollar bills. Well, not all dollar bills, but you get the idea. They're printing more money. That's what that's all about. And that's why you need to vote, because you're the ones that's going to pay that. Now, do you want to pay it, a poor person? Do you as a poor person? I mean, if you're not making $1 million a year, you're a freaking poor person. I mean, you're an average human being. If you're not making $1 million a year, you're just an average human being. I hate to break the news to you, but average human beings can have just as much fun as those freaking millionaires. Millionaires, you know what their biggest problem is? They don't know who their friends are. I've known millionaires, and they would try and give me things, and I would refuse. And they really appreciated that. I had 2 out of 7 that I've known tell me, you'll never understand what that meant to me. I didn't understand it at first, but now that you've explained it, I had to explain it to them. Why? It's because I liked them, and I wasn't going to take from them. that I've been poor all my life, and I was going to be poor the rest of my days. Why? Because I was busted for marijuana in the 1970s. I live in the rural South, and they are just aching. The Christians are aching for a way to out you from ever having anything. They think it all needs to go to Jesus. And I really feel for a society that wants to put Jesus on the walls of every school. They're putting the 10 Commandments on the walls in Louisiana. The 10 Commandments is going up on the wall in every school, in every classroom. Like, man's laws aren't good enough. Hey, you shouldn't fantasize about your neighbor's wife. Hey, I agree. Thou shalt not kill. Hey, I agree with that one too. But it don't mean we got to take it from the Bible and put it up on the wall. Louisiana could take the their code or law, whatever they call their laws down there. There's no telling. We call it code here in Virginia. It's the code of Virginia. We're a Commonwealth state. It's hard to tell what Louisiana is. Dazed and confused, I believe, because they can't believe their legislatures are doing it either. You go down on Bourbon Street, and I imagine they got some fine words to say about the legislature. But when you go down from Mardi Gras, you might, depending on who's president, there might not be another Mardi Gras. Trump, he wanted to declare martial law last time. She like that pop. That's a lick from Lonesome Fiddle Blues. It's on the jam part. Look up Lonesome Fiddle Blues and listen to the guitar player. He's going to play something like this. Okay. But this election coming up, if you're between 18 and 30 years old, you need to register to vote if you haven't already registered to vote. I know stuff like that's a pain. Time to you passes so much more slowly than it does for old folks like me. My days just drag by, but a year seems like a month when I was your age. It seems a year, you know. It's wild. Yo, Missing Remote. How's it going, man? Nice to see you in here. Yeah, I'm politicking today. I'm politicking and I'm down on all these people that make it out like the guitar prices are too high. Yeah, if you buy something new, they are. If you want to buy used, they can't sell a used guitar. But I really appreciate all y'all tuning in here. So I'm getting some action over here. Let's see what's going on. Yeah. Podcaster. Ain't nothing wrong with podcaster now. If I had to do over again, I'd go build my own. But you know, about all I'm lying about that. Physically, from a physical standpoint, I would be unable to stand, sit, or to do the necessary things in order to do that. It's all I can do. Like I haven't been playing guitar hardly this week, and due to my health. And when your health starts going south on you, and it starts really going south on you, you have to roll with it, and you have to kick back. You have to rest. I mean, like right now, my blood pressure is so high, my ears are ringing. Just, you know, kind of like Chuck Berry. It's kind of like Chuck Berry. He could play the guitar like talking about Johnny B. Good. Said Johnny B. Good, he could play guitar like ringing the bell. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't vote in this next election and vote against Trump, there's going to be a bell rung, and it's going to be the one doggone signaling the end of democracy. That's exactly what it's going to be. We've lost so many freedoms in my lifetime. I served 3.5 years. That's not, I got a 3.5 year sentence and was out in 2 months. No, I served a whole 3.5 years, starting at, I got busted on my 21st, 1 week after my 21st birthday. So I didn't see the world until I turned 25 again. So it really, shortly before I turned 25, so it really sucked. And then in this part of the world, they will take you and they'll hold you down. I draw Social Security, and because I was a convicted felon, they cut my Social Security because I was a convicted felon. They cut it by several $100s. But I'm making as much now as I was when I quit working on Social Security. So does that tell you anything? That I've never had a job that paid me to work. And when I got busted, what was I doing? I was getting seed money to start a festival, a music festival. It would have been the first of its kind because Where in the world would you have found someone who had access to 1,000 acres along a river, and you could put one stage at one end of it, one stage at the other, and neither one would interfere with the other? That's what I was going to put together. You'd have your rednecks on one end and the hippies on the other. I wasn't going to doggone alienate nobody, and I was going to hire cops from out of state and from within the state, and tell them if they're smoking pot, leave them alone. If they're beating the hell out of each other, you get in there and you doggone protect life and property. I don't know how many of you know this, but this is the mandate that police officers live by. Their oath entails this: protect life first, and secondary to protecting a citizen's life is that of protecting personal property. In other words, they're going to drag you out of your house before they try and put the fire out in your house. And it's the same thing out here in public. They're going to break up the fight before they do anything about who started the fight. And then most of the time that ends up, well, whoever gets to the magistrate's office first is the one that's filing charges against the other individual. And then they let the judge figure it out in court. That's the way it's been for the longest time. Again, this is the most important presidential election in my lifetime. And when you think about the situation that I put myself in, trying to get seed money to start a music festival, where I would have gospel, country music, country, and country rock, and rock and roll on two separate ends of 1,000 acres. There was one way in and one way out. And it would have been the grandest thing. And that's another situation in itself. I knew it was going to take me time to, I'll tell the little story about that. I knew it was going to take me some time to put everything together, because I'd read the book, Young Men with Unlimited Capital. That was about the two guys that put Woodstock together. You know, that was amazing. Those guys did it all on credit. They were over $1 million in debt by the time Hendrix finished playing the national anthem on Sunday night. I mean, they took out the chain link fence. The crowd had tore down everything they had. Just flying people in by helicopters. But I had a dream. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to realize it right away. So in order to save my money and to know my money was safe, because, you know, I didn't have no way of showing that I had the ability in 1975 to make $11,000. So, and that was a lot of money back then. They would have bought you 3 houses, three good rental properties for $11,000. But I've worked with a couple of friends. I knew they was trying to save money. They recently married, they had kids. I gave them the down payments on their houses, and I never have seen a dollar of that back from it. Every one of them, 3 of them. It was like I got busted and went to prison, so their debt was forgiven. They never came to see me. But yeah, again, this is the most important election that may happen, and not only in my lifetime, but in yours as well. I don't want to see you have to go fight in a foreign war, because they will snatch you up all the way through the age of 35. If it gets bad enough, they'll, you know. But the biggest threat is here at home from domestic terrorists who are having gasoline poured on them. Trump is nothing but a gas hose. He's just squirting it everywhere he goes. And he's going to strike his match when he loses. And these Republican legislatures across the nation, which have been changing the laws steady over the past 4 years and doing their standard gerrymandering. You can check out Georgia. You know, check out gerrymandering and Georgia, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's just one little slither. It goes from just about up north of Georgia all the way south. One little sliver. They want everything their way. And the Republicans, I hate it. I really hate it. I do not respect a Republican, and I've never respected them. The Republican president, Richard Milhouse Nixon, he was president when Timothy Leary went before the Supreme Court and argued about the Marijuana Tax Act. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 being illegal. And the Supreme Court found in his favor and said that the Marijuana Tax Act was illegal because it required that you break the law in order to be able to abide by the law, and that was an oxymoron. That you shouldn't be required to break the law in order to buy a tax stamp. That the tax stamp should be in advance of breaking the law. And this little tidbit of information. See, I live in a state where it's legal for you to become a lawyer without going to law school. All you have to do is what they call reading the law. I read the law. I have been reading the law since 1977. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 states specifically that an individual may import an ounce of marijuana provided they buy a tax stamp and show marijuana and pay for the weight at the rate of $150 an ounce. Yeah, $150 an ounce for pot in 1937, and people think $400 an ounce now. Heck, back in the 1937, you could go out here, you could have bought 100 acres of land for, heck, there's no telling, probably about $20 an acre, about $20 an acre, if that. Add timber on it. But the Marijuana Tax Act, Timothy Leary threw that out. So the federal government goes into a knee-jerk deal where they hold hearings. Senate Select Committee on Crime held hearings. They talk to heroin addicts. What a heroin addict has to do with marijuana law, I don't know. But they issued a report, and Nixon rejected it. The report said, and what they have, the last page is what's called in conclusion. It says in conclusion. And that's where it's more or less kind of like a Reader's Digest book. You know, it's condensed down to, and what they said was, if we did not find a way to include marijuana or deregulate it in some manner, that they saw that in the future that there would be a culture, a culture within a culture and the both would exist, but at some point in time that they would diverge from one another. So after Timothy Leary did what he did, Nixon formed the DEA after he rejected Congress's attempts to get him to decriminalize marijuana. He rejected it. And he gets busted. His vice president, original vice president, had been convicted of crimes. He'd been made to resign. His new vice president pardoned him, ran for the presidency, and they put him out in favor of Jimmy Carter. God bless his soul. Poor man, he's been in hospice for over a year now and lost his wife. But Jimmy Carter, to his favor, is the only president in the history of this country that has ever said anything about decriminalization of marijuana. On the 30th of January, 1977, Jimmy Carter said in a statement to the public that he would direct his Attorney General to check into the possibility of the decriminalization of marijuana. So do you see how that just pushed all of the Christians right into the Republicans' arms? Pushed them right into their arms. That's the last time the president said anything about it. Well, up until Biden. Biden finally got it out of the, in other words, marijuana now at the federal level, after 50 years of being considered in federal law as the same thing as heroin or heroin. I don't know what you call it. I call it trash myself, which that's heroin in French means trash. It's a byproduct of the production of morphine, in case you didn't know. Never have done any. Have seen plenty of it. Mexican mud. What do you think Brown Sugar, the song Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones was about? Mexican mud. Mexican heroin. Well, here we are. Interesting note, no pun intended, about Scuttlebutton, is that Stevie Ray Vaughan originally did that with hammer-ons and pull-offs instead of slides, as you see him do it on stage. But he changed it up after it became a hit. You know, people were trying to improve upon things, and so that was his way of improving upon his own ability on the guitar. Phenomenal player. I didn't know who the man was until a little over a year ago. And my mouth just kind of hung open after I started watching him. I may have drooled, I don't know. I may have drooled like Donald Trump in a New York courtroom in a civil trial. Oh God, I hope I don't start passing gas and fluids like he does. Oh, sitting on top of the bay, watching that time slip away. It's almost gone. I have to get my thumb, put my thumb on the back of the neck like that to get that lick right there. It's almost a requirement. There's the transition note. Let's see, how was that? Yeah. And it always ends up right back here. But anyway, so much for that. Let's see. Nah, this is New Orleans, man. Brown sugar. Brown sugar. That's heroin. Or Mexican muds, what they called it back in when I was out and about. See, Nixon doing what he did meant that there was heroin and marijuana in the same location. If I went and bought 200 pounds of pot, there's going to be at least 5 keys of heroin up in that house. And there might be 1,000 pounds of pot. There's going to be those keys of heroin were going to be there, and there were going to be people coming from 1,000 miles away to get it. I was the third man from Mexico. There was a man in Mexico who was the man's brother where I got it from. So, and there was always an entourage with it of Hispanic individuals. So they were working, but I won't go any further. They might bring another case against me. Let me see. That's how I thought the brown sugar went. So I got to hunt up information on it. That's where I found out stoves don't perform it because of the reference to brown sugar being heroin. And that's why they don't perform it anymore. But yeah, you can Google that, just like I did. Let's see what we got going on over here. Man, I'm gonna have to learn, doggone, that smells like Teen Spirit. I'm gonna have to learn that. You know, everybody runs down Kurt Cobain's guitar, man. These guitar players out here run down his guitar. And I don't understand. I'm gonna have to get me a Fender Jaguar, I reckon, to find out why in the world why is everybody so stupid has such a bad attitude about it. Because I think that sounds fantastic. Shorter scale length. I mean, I forget what this is. I believe it's only 21 frets. I believe it's full scale length. I prefer a shorter scale length myself. Let's see. I guess after all the stuff I've done put you people through here. It's about hymn time on the program. Time to make up some of it. But we're gonna do something since all of us didn't go to church today. Oh man, that's just not gonna work. I got a burr on my finger. When you play with your fingers, you get calluses on them. You hear it hooking it. Yeah, I got a little bit of it off. No, not enough though. Yeah, we're gonna make this hymn time on the program today, ladies and gentlemen. You're in tune to the Teddy Ray Thomas Guitar Practice Channel, where every once in a while we delve into politics. We're sending this out to Jerry Falwell Jr., who just can't seem to keep his britches up. Well, get mine, brother, if you want to go home. Get on your knees, right in your wrongs. You ain't gonna see him do that now at the Victory Baptist Church, located in Lynchburg, Virginia. He's a man whose daddy helped Ronald Reagan get elected president in 1980. And you'll be singing that old time song. You're mine, brother, if you want to go home. Ricky, brother Teddy. I'm just waiting for the time to come when all the sorrow will be done. And I'm going home, just going home to heaven above, where we'll be with the angels up there, telling love, knowing here that they had for me is where below. Happy I'll be when my Savior I shall see, and I tell another love that He had for me. No more sorrow, grief, nor pain, all good times will be the same. So happy I'll be forevermore. that concludes Hen Time on the program for today. And which way do we go from here? North, south, east, or west? I love to listen to people talk about politics, especially when they talk about the crisis with our borders. Our borders? You mean to tell me that we've got more than the border with Mexico and with Canada? I mean, I haven't seen no mass exodus of Canadians running from Canadian authorities. I ain't heard nothing about it. It ain't made the news. But they say borders. There are numerous states which border Mexico. Maybe that's their, I guess, well, some people may view me as an imbecile, but there are a lot of people dumber about this than I am. I know enough to know. If I smell smoke in my home, I'm going to go sniffing around, and I'm going to find the origin of that smoke, and I'm going to put that fire out. And with Donald Trump, there ain't been nothing to smoke. Attorney Barr went in to the Justice Department, and he applied all these different little things to keep individual one who had obstructed justice. And let me explain to you how simple it is to obstruct justice. Say you got a friend, they've been charged with a crime, and you know the person who's going to testify against them. You go and speak to that person and ask them not to testify. Well, you've just obstructed justice. It's that simple. That's simple. That's simple. You do not do that. But Trump, he's been getting away ever since they put him in charge up there at that military camp where he's on. Him going around, why don't you beat the hell out of so-and-so over here? He ain't pulling his weight. So Trump go have his people beat the crap out of him. I mean, that man, he ain't new. That's just not something that's come out of his mouth here in the last 8 years. Back in the day, yeah, he's referring to when he was getting started in business and back in his military years at his military school. Mr. Bone Spurs was one of the head deals there, but his Bone Spurs wouldn't carry his second lieutenant ass to Vietnam. And here 50 years later, he's been walking on them Bone Spurs for 50 years now, and don't seem to impede his flow, but he wants to talk about how Joe Biden walks. Well, it looks like y'all's feed's going to die here in a minute. We may well kill it.